I put down in my affirmations and my list that I want the job to be quite closely in proximity, short walking distance from the tram stop. I literally put this out there. Then I put in there as well that I want it to be a prestigious company. Then I put in there that I want it to be decent hours and that I don't have to work every weekend. And then I put out there that I just want it to be the same kind of similar or better than wage that I'm already on. And lo and behold, I seen a job application. So back to our manifesting story series. I just wanted to start with this one now, sharing my own story. Now, I have so many stories I can share in this space, which is what motivated me and inspired me to create Manifestation Maven, of why I started wanting to utilize the law of attraction, the theories and the techniques, so that other people could also go out there and manifest their best life. So for me, there's so many manifestations I'm still working on. You know, a lot of people sometimes be like, but you haven't still got this, or you still haven't got that. I'm like, I know it's coming to me. So I'm just going to keep putting that out to the universe and keeping myself on par with all the things I've learned. But there's some things that I manifest so easily. Some things that have come to me so easily. I mean, I don't even know where to start with these stories, from things that have happened in my workplace to job opportunities, work opportunities, income opportunities, relationships, family, you know, connections, friend connections, even when it came to creating network connections for my work. Honestly, there's a lot there. So the first one I'll start with is when I first started my journey of manifesting, which was many moons ago. So when I first came into the life coaching space was actually back in 2008, 2009. So I've been doing this a very long time. And at that time, I came across The Secret, which is no secret anymore. And The Secret by Rhonda Byrne talks about the law of attraction. And she's not the only person who's wrote a book about this. Before her, many people over the years and centuries have written books about this. So if you're anything like me and you want to learn more, there's a lot of material out there, which is what I've done over my lifetime. I've read a lot. I've watched a lot of videos. I've watched interviews. I've looked at seminars. I've been to seminars. I've done a lot in terms of investing in my knowledge, investing in my skill set, and learning more about this particular, you know, industry. So, you know, there's still a lot for me to learn, but there's a lot that I have learned. And when I first came across the law of attraction, and I just started seeing the principles of, you know, having a positive attitude, putting it out into the universe, being mindful of the spoken word. What is it you're saying? I realized a lot of me, and not just me, people around me, and in the coaching space when I was coaching clients, we always focus on, for some reason, what we don't like, what we don't want. And we're constantly affirming these things that we don't like and don't want. And then we wonder why things around us are then showcasing that to us in our realities. It gets mirrored. So I started thinking like, okay, how can I start speaking more in terms of what I do want, what I'd like to happen, what I'd like to achieve, how things are, you know, I'd like them to be. So at that point, I had landed a job, interestingly, within a sales team. I was working for an organization and I was in an outbound sales job. The funniest thing about this story too is at the time when I was applying for jobs, I was out of work, and for 2-3 months I was looking for work. And when I kept looking and I kept searching and I kept looking for this work, I was like, anything but sales, anything but outbound sales. I'll do any other work, but I just don't want to do outbound sales. Then all of a sudden at that time, I got a call for somebody who'd seen my CV, and they said, oh, we'd love to invite you to an interview. I thought, oh, fantastic. And then all of a sudden I said, what's the job for? And they go, outbound sales. And at that point I thought, well, beggars can't be choosers. So I thought, let's go for the interview anyways, and, you know, let's see how it goes. But in my heart of hearts, I was like, well, all these other interviews haven't worked out for me, so this one probably they won't even take me on anyway. I'm not very a salesy person anyways, of those of you who know me. And I just thought to myself, you know what, let's just give it a go. Turned up for the interview. Surprise, surprise, They wanted me, took me on, and I just thought at the time I really needed a job. I needed the income. But for this job, I had to catch 3 buses because I was on public transport at the time. And I had to catch 3 buses to get to this job. And the hours were really antisocial. They were like from like 12 o'clock till 8 o'clock. So I'd be there leaving the house 10 o'clock in the morning to get to the job for 12 o'clock, to leave at 8 to get back home for 10 p.m. in the evening. So my entire day would go. I'd also have to do weekends. And it was very tempting because they'd give us like double, triple pay on like bank holidays and weekends for extra shifts. So sometimes that was quite enticing. So I sometimes didn't even have a weekend. And at that time it was quite crazy because I had such mixed feelings about the job. The pressure of getting the sales, getting the extra commission wasn't really my cup of tea. Just generally just being on the phone all day long wasn't also my cup of tea. But however, I really enjoyed some of the work, and I enjoyed the friendships that I was making at the job as well, and some of the connections I had. And so I remember just utilizing my law of attraction techniques for this. I thought, okay, let me write down everything about this job that I like. So I wrote down everything that I liked. I liked the fact that it was paying me, that I felt like I was in work rather than being unemployed. I appreciated the bonuses. I was on a pretty decent wage. I was happy with the income. I was happy with the friendships that I had there as well. So there was quite a few things that I was happy with. Then I wrote down what I was not happy with. I wasn't happy with the hours. I wasn't happy with the commute. And some of the management styles I was not that happy with either. So then I thought, instead of talking about what I don't like about this job, how do I manifest this or put this into a list that is my manifesting goals for my next job? So I wrote down, this is where I want the location to be. And for those of you who know me, my locality, I am Birmingham based, if you hadn't already catched from my accent, United Kingdom based, Birmingham based. So I really wanted a job that was in the Birmingham city centre because that was the easiest commute for me to get to. It would mean that I would just need to catch one tram and I'd be in the town centre, in city centre. And the only other thing I thought in my head was, however, Birmingham is quite big. So I don't want to be that when I'm getting into Birmingham town centre in the mornings and then all of a sudden I'm having to walk maybe 15-20 minutes to get to my job, or I need to catch another bus or something. So I put down in my affirmations and my list that I want the job to be quite closely in proximity, short walking distance from the tram stop. I literally put this out there. Then I put in there as well that I want it to be a prestigious company. Then I put in there that I want it to be decent hours and that I don't have to work every weekend. And then I put out there that I just want it to be the same kind of similar or better than wage that I'm already on. And lo and behold, I seen a job application and it was for another sales job. And I'm just going to wrap this up very shortly. I went for that job. I didn't actually get that job. However, I called them back and I argued with them. And I said, why did you not give me this job? I don't understand. I tick all these boxes. They said from the interview process, we didn't feel like you was a very salesy person. You seemed like more of a customer service focused person. And I thought, well, I couldn't argue with that. I was like, that's true. And then they said, actually, there's some roles going in the customer service team. Would you like us to, put you forward for that? You've already done most of the, pre-interviews because there was like 3 or 4 stages to this job. And they go, because you've already done these stages, you'd only have to do the one interview, but you don't have to do any application or anything. And I thought, okay. And the rest was history. I got that job. I stayed in that company for a good 8-9 years. And I worked through different departments whilst I was there. And guess what? It ticked all those boxes. It was literally right next to the tram stop. It was like a 2-minute walk from the tram stop. It was a prestigious company. It was a really good role. And a lot of people found it hard to get jobs at that particular company. So I was quite proud of myself to get the job at the time that I did. As well as the hours was normal Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And it was only 1 in every 3 Saturdays that you had to do, which was only half a day. Which, compared to my previous job, this ticked all those boxes that I wanted for this job. And the management was a lot better as well. Although afterwards, it not quite as much, but that's a story for another time. But I managed to manifest that job. And it was literally, if not the first job I applied, by challenging that job, it landed me the job. And it ticked all those boxes for me. And that's when I was like, wow, this stuff really works. So that's just one of my job stories. I'm looking forward to sharing more. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that. And if you've got a manifestation story as well of something you've manifested on the back of anything you've learned from myself or any other, modality in terms of law of attraction techniques, I'd love to hear from you. Either DM me or you can email me. My contact details are, of course, on my page. And I'd love to hear from you. And if you do want to email me, it's summon@manifestationmaven.co.uk. Okay? So I will speak to you soon, and I hope you enjoyed that story. Bye. Bye.